jays. I can hear jays squawking just in the trees over there. So today in this video I just wanted to update you on just how it's going at this new location. I did a video like a few weeks ago, I think, talking about this new hide that I've set up and showing you the surroundings, giving you a bit of an idea of what I was planning. Today I'm going to show you a bit more of that. I'm going to show you more specifically what I'm hoping to photograph and why, setting up perches and potential backgrounds and a few other little things as well. Oh, it's a squirrel. I'm getting excited by a squirrel. There is a lot of wildlife in this area, and when I've come down here I've seen very specific species. So I've seen a buzzard, actually two buzzards. There's two buzzards knocking around, and they're really often perched in the trees around here. There's also some telegraph poles as well. So buzzards seem to frequent this area, this little corner, very often. Also, we know there's roe deer, and I have seen the roe deer myself. So in fact, when I just put the hide up and I was at the top end of the field walking back to the car, I actually saw a roe deer come down, and it came all the way down this field, walked across where I am now, literally right in front of the hide, like, I don't know, about 5-10 feet directly in front of the hide. There are fruits around here. We've got bramble, we've actually planted some raspberries as well. What else we got? Acorns. So there's various natural food sources for things like roe deer. As well as that, we've also got jays, and we know there's jays around. They've occasionally come down to my hide, which is not far away from here. There's loads of jays around here. You can often hear them squawking. We've got some really good oak trees, so definitely a good place for the jays. They're going to be collecting acorns in the autumn. But with all that taken into account, you do need something that's reliable if you're going to set up a hide. So again, I'm just planning on setting up a simple feeding station for your regular common birds, and also woodpecker. I've seen great spotted woodpecker, so I think this would work well for that bird. We've also transported a couple of bushes as well, just to put to the western side of the hide, because it is quite open to the wind from that direction. So that's going to help just add a little bit of shelter. The background is massively important. I'm a real stickler for background these days. So what I'll do is preview it as the best I can. So I know the window's about here. So before I even put the hide up, I'll get down to this level so I can preview what my background's going to be when I actually start taking pictures. So if I just did it from head height, it wouldn't be the same. You need to get to the same level wherever you're going to be when you're actually doing the photography. So looking out here now, because this field slopes upwards, and it slopes upwards like slightly the entire way all to the end of the field. It's going to give a really nice smooth background all the way. It's just absolutely perfect. And towards the east, it's very, very open, green grass, and then in this direction we get the fence in the way, so I can't really shoot over there. So in terms of the bird photography, like directly ahead of me, probably for a good 50 degrees or so, I've got a really nice, clean, smooth background. And then if I shoot over in this direction, I've got some trees over there. I've got some oak trees, a bit of a hedgerow, but I'm going to come back to that one later. So I've kind of estimated roughly where I'd put the bird feeders and the perches, and it's kind of just at the edge of this little scrubby area here. And the reason for that is I just like to have a little bit of cover. It's going to make the birds feel a little bit safer, and also if there's a few flowers or seed heads still left over, then I'm going to be able to include that in the picture as well. Onto this bit, the pond. So we're trying to do a lot of things to encourage wildlife, and one of the best things you can do for wildlife anywhere is to create a pond. It doesn't have to be big, even just a small patch of water will encourage different species. So it's just a plastic moulding for this pond, which so we dug this out the other day and we put this in. We've just got some logs, branches in here. The reason being that if anything falls in, a small mammal or something, then it should be able to climb its way back out again. So it's fairly close to the hide. I've not really set this up specifically for the hide. It's just something else which hopefully will encourage wildlife, hopefully from some insects as well. But you never know, might get some birds or even mammals come to drink from the water. Buzzard's just called and is flying over now towards this big oak tree. No, it's just landed in the tree. We are also planting a few things down here as well, again to encourage the wildlife, and hopefully that's going to be good for photography to encourage different species. Here we've got some raspberries, so we just got like a row of raspberries here. Hopefully they're going to grow into a nice bush, should encourage some birds. Maybe the roe deer will go for them as well. You might be able to see the apples just behind me as well. Got some apples we just tossed out onto the ground, again to encourage birds like thrushes, the winter thrushes like fieldfares and redwings. And also we're going to plant some wildflower seed down here as well. So part of this field is going to be wildflowers, and as well as just a really nice background at certain times of the year. That's going to be amazing if I am lucky enough to get a roe deer. If I get a roe deer walking through the wildflowers, that's just going to look absolutely incredible. I realise this might look like a grave, I can assure you it isn't, but basically what I'm doing is trying to create a raised area, so it's just raise the ground. And the reason for that is that there's various species, so I talked about, well, jays, maybe I could use it for that, but some of the ground feeders like the blackbirds and winter thrushes, for example, it would be nice if we could get them a little bit raised. So I'm basically creating a mound here that should look like a really natural mound. And when we were digging out the pond, it just made so much sense. I knew I could use that some way. So when we were digging out the pond, some of the earth from there, I've basically just transferred to create this raised area over here. What we'll do is get the sods, like the turf, put that on top. I'm sure it'll all grow over and eventually look really, really natural. So this might be good for like winter thrushes, for example, if we put out some apples. So it looks like they're on the ground, but because it's raised, the background is going to be better. And you don't have to raise it massively. I've had a look, and even if it's like 2, 3, probably 4 feet at the maximum off the ground, the background's just increased massively. So back to the buzzards, I think there's a really good chance of getting buzzards around here. We might be able to get them down to bait in the winter, and they do seem maybe a little bit more used to humans down here. We'll see. What I'll need to do with the buzzards, anything that I set up for them, I'll need to put it much further back because they're going to be bigger. So it's like I've got the feeding station area in mind, which is much closer to where the hide is at the moment, and then the mound is going to be a bit further back because I'm thinking maybe blackbirds, winter thrushes, possibly jays, and anything for the buzzard I'll need to go even further back. So that mound might work for the buzzard as well. What I may need to do is have a separate mound, so create 2 mounds, one more for blackbird size, one more for buzzard sized birds. And then what I do as well is set up a perch, like a really photogenic post, or also some dead wood with the background how I want it. I need to make sure as well that that was the right distance for buzzard sized birds. There is a potential for red kites. This is a really good area for red kites as well. In fact, there's tons of red kites around here, and there are people feed them about a quarter of a mile up the road. See them flying around all the time. So red kites and buzzards, definitely potential for getting them down to bait. If you watch my recent video about photographing birds in the snow, one of the things I was talking about was the background and how it affects your images. And what I've been talking about so far today is shooting against this field to get a really nice clean green at the moment backdrop. But if it snows, this is just going to go completely blanket white. I don't think that's going to look particularly good. One of the reasons for that is because if it's actually snowing and you've got snowflakes around the bird, which provides such a wonderful opportunity, if the background is snow as well, you're not going to be able to see those snowflakes in the image. So it's much better to have more of a neutral or a dark background. So when I've been looking at setting this up, as well as the simple shots, shooting towards the field, various ideas, various species, I'm also thinking, have I got a snow background? And this here, looking across to this hedge and the trees just on the edge of the field over there, that would be my snow backdrop. There's not a lot, but I think it's just enough. If it snows, then that would be the background I would shoot against. There is a potential another one that I'm going to show you in a minute, but if the hide stays where it is, I just shoot from there. Then in the snow, I would probably shoot towards that tree line. There are some issues with the light at the moment, and I know that, but you're never going to get the most perfect location. Everything 100% is going to work perfectly. You've always got to make some compromises. So at the moment, it's almost the shortest day of the year today, and the sun hence is very, very low. It's just over there at the moment, very low in the sky. We've got this hedge, and particularly this big, I think it's an ash tree, and that does block out the sun for part of the day. So I'm aware of that, but the main thing is, I know from experience when my prime shooting time is for bird photography, and I find I usually get the best pictures around February, maybe early March, for different reasons. I know the sun is going to be further over that way, and it's going to be higher. So I know at that point it's not going to be an issue. In the autumn, I don't think it'd be an issue as well. So this problem of the light being blocked a bit, which it is, I'm probably only going to have that maybe for 3 weeks, possibly a bit longer, kind of in December. So I have to bear that in mind. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't shoot on overcast days. It's only when the sun is out that would be a problem. So if I was really concerned about that and I wanted to still shoot, then I'd just come on an overcast day and do it that way. Long-tailed tits. Oh, 3, 4 long-tailed tits just around the back of my hide in the hedgerow. If you can hear them. I'll try and get one on camera. Why is it so overexposed? Oh, because I've got +1 and a third. We sort that out. go. Oh. Sorry. I'm thinking, is there more opportunities? Anything else I can do here to maximise my chances, I'm going to do, and that can include pop-up hides as well. So I'm thinking, is there anywhere else which is going to be good for photography? So I have a few more ideas. Yeah, here. Because I've got so much cover here, huge amounts of bramble, knapweed in there as well. I'm thinking that would just be so good for the birds because they're going to be so relaxed there. They're naturally going to be drawn to that area. And maybe if I put up a perch, for songbirds, like a blackbird or a thrush for example, if I just raise it a little bit, maybe I could get a bird to go on there. And again, I'm thinking of the backgrounds and the lighting. So if I just show you here, where's the hide? Yeah, you can see the hide just there. Okay, so I'm thinking I could shoot towards here. I could have a hide roughly where I am now and I could shoot in that direction, all that cover there. I could put a post up which is just raised, just above those plants, so it stands out, and my background would be shooting towards there. This again would be a fantastic one for snow because that background would go really nice colour, perfect for snowy images. And the lighting, now this is where it gets interesting. I don't know if I'm just waffling, but I don't know. Some of you enjoy this stuff. I quite like it. There behind me now is south. Okay, so imagine if I'm in the hide, sun's coming up over me, behind me, shooting towards the north, roughly. But when we get into spring, and again it's a really good time in early spring, like March for example, even into April, a really good time for bird photography, and a lot of the birds start being more active in terms of their territories and bird song as well. But the light is actually shifted. The sun won't be so much here at the prime shooting time in the morning, it'll actually be more over here. So if I was shooting this way towards there, then it's actually going to work because the sun's going to be behind me. So this is just an idea for like a pop-up hide. I hope that all made sense with the directions and everything. This is just an idea for a pop-up hide, and what I could do as well, I could store the pop-up hide in my other hide. Feel like a Russian doll thing, that'd be ace. Keep it dry, it wouldn't get really wet and rot. So really it's about creating ideas for the future, opportunities. Very little here is concrete. I've checked a few things in front of the hide that are probably going to be permanent, but it's really to see what birds we get coming, get an idea of what's happening, what the backgrounds are going to look like, and then I can adjust things and get specific distances for perches and all that thing, just really fine tune it. Oh, I've checked as well, it's not asbestos. It's definitely not asbestos, because I thought I'd better just double check. I'm sure he said it wasn't, but it isn't. So thanks to everyone who pointed that out, who's concerned about my welfare, that, you know, maybe I'd die from being sat in some asbestos filled chamber for hours on end. But it's absolutely fine, so I'm glad to hear that as well, because I don't particularly want to be breathing in asbestos. I'll just come slightly back so I can put various things on the screen, because that's what we do afterwards. It's all in the business. And no, it's a gull. Oh, there are barn owls around here. Anyway, I'll see you in a field next time, sometime soon.